What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode. So on today's video, we're going to finally look at and talk about the new car, the Dodge Viper. I'm pretty excited about it. This has been my dream car since I was about 8-ish years old. Gran Turismo 1 from PlayStation 1. Everyone's, from my childhood, like anyone that was born mid to late 80s, maybe early 90s, knows like their favorite car, most people's, is like a blue with white stripe Dodge Viper, which is my personal favorite car, a 96 Viper GTS. This is not blue with white stripes, but it is, to me, the next best thing, and at long last, it's a Dodge Viper regardless. So here it is, and I'm excited to talk about it. So here is the 2002 Dodge Viper GTS. Now this car was the last of the Gen 2 Vipers to be built. All final edition GTSs, which is what this is, were red with white stripes to commemorate the Viper Oreca team that won the, I think they still hold the record for most road course wins by a factory sponsored team. So they're all red with white stripes. They all come with a number plate on the center console. So this is number 227 of 300. I believe they made 300 of them. They might have made 350. I can't remember. I'll have to fact check it and put it in a little comment in the video. Now this car did come from Hawaii. It does have the Hawaii plate on it still. I have it insured and everything, but I don't drive it very often. I'm waiting for my plate from Montana. Currently the car is sitting on stock suspension. These are 18-inch SSR wheels. These are my street wheels. Front tires are good. The back tires right now are definitely at the end of their life. On the interior of the car, it is mainly stock, with the exception of some carbon fiber trim here on the dash. It's just kind of like a 3M thing. This is factory Gen 2 interior, which I'm a huge fan. You have coolant temp, oil pressure, fuel gauge, and battery voltage. And then over here, your main two gauges, tachometer, speedometer. This car is just over 40,000 miles. And then you have like a little panel here. This is where you would see your battery light, your check engine light, your brake light. I'll go ahead and turn the key on so you guys can see. So this is where everything would pop up. And we have a radio in here. I'll go ahead and show you how the rear of the car opens. So it is a hatch, but it's only the glass that opens. I'm gonna go ahead and apologize. The car is very, very dirty right now. Oh, and the struts are giving out. Typical. I think maybe that's a lock right there actually for one, but so we have a aftermarket amp / hideaway sub. It's not really the best. I need to find a factory tire cover. I'm pretty sure they came with one. I don't think this is open, but I could be wrong. But other than that, I mean, it's all stock back here. That's about it back here. Go ahead and close her up. Center exhaust exit. This is stock for the Viper. These are actually the stock rear tips. You can faintly see the Viper logo there. However, although the catback is stock, the header's back is not stock because this Viper is twin turbo. So I'll give you a little sneak peek there, the intercooler. Now I'm going to go ahead and show you what is involved with popping the hood. It's not like most people would think. It's actually pretty unique. So there's a lever here under the front bumper. You can kind of see it. Wait, where are we at here? There we go. Pull this down, it pops the hood here, and you have another latch right here. You move that, oh, hold on here, can't do it with one hand. All right, you pop that lever over to the right here. It will raise the hood up even further. And then you can come back here, and this is a clamshell type hood that opens away from the car. And it's always a cool look. I've always thought this was a very unique hood, very awesome. So here is the power plant. For those that are unfamiliar with this car, but have always liked the look of them, this is an 8-liter V10. Factory, they come naturally aspirated. I think this car makes 400 horsepower. I could be wrong. I think maybe it might make 450. Actually, yeah. So the 9602s, the second gen, they made 450 horsepower, and I think somewhere around that amount of torque, 450, maybe 500. This car, however, like I said, twin turbo. You can see the blow-off valves up there. That is the fuel pressure regulator. We have a catch can. This car does have an aftermarket aftermarket radiator with aftermarket fans. So these are the turbo headers leading down to, you can see the V-band clamp a little bit there. It's kind of hard to see. There's some of the wrapping here. This front turbo is a little difficult to see here. I'll show you the turbos here in a second. This car is powered by a standalone computer. This is an AEM Infinity. Not too bad in terms of standalones. I would prefer a Motec. However, the Infinity is actually not terrible. Some people don't like AEM at all. I don't mind the AEM. As long as that's the Infinity. The Infinity has a lot of good options. On this side here, I can show you the turbo a little bit better. So one of these on either side. The downpipe does come off the turbo and runs down the length of the rocker. That is how the stock pipes run. They come out off the header, they go through the rocker before turning back in before the rear wheels and coming out the center. So generally you have a message on the inside of the panel that says, warning, this area is pretty hot because you have an exhaust running underneath here. So I have the car out now because I'm actually getting ready to wash it, detail it, and we have a car show tomorrow. So I'm gonna go ahead and get it ready for that. I'm gonna lightly wash it tonight, and then tomorrow morning I'm gonna detail it before I go to the actual car show. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of overview the car, show you guys what it's about. I haven't really shared it because I've just been really busy. Yeah, like I said, I've wanted one of these cars since I was probably about 8 years old. I have a little die-cast model of one. This has always been my favorite car. As I got older, the Ford GT definitely worked its way into one of my favorites. Oh, I can see where it's leaking AC now. But yeah, but this one's always been my all-time favorite because in terms of being realistic, this is one of the more affordable, I guess, exotic cars, or you could say muscle car, either way. In terms of maintenance, it's actually not that expensive. I mean, oil changes and stuff like that, brakes, they're not terribly expensive by any means. I will say, however, if you're looking at getting a Gen 2 Viper now, 20 years later, some of the parts are scarce and hard to come by. For example, if you want a factory replacement OEM windshield, they do not make it anymore. So whatever is out there now is currently what is out there. I haven't looked at aftermarket, so I don't know if anyone has picked up the mantle and started producing these windshields aftermarket. But those windshields are no longer produced by Dodge. The headlights also no longer produced by Dodge. So these headlights are very expensive to replace. The fog lights I think you can replace, which I actually need to replace this one. It has a crack in it, kind of hard to tell, but it is there. The taillights, I have actually heard that you can retrofit Gen 5 taillights and make them work on a Gen 2. I do not know the details about that, but I know it's possible. So much like Corvettes, which a lot of people don't know this, the whole body of this car is fiberglass. So this car, it's a misconception this car is heavy. A lot of people think that that might be the case. Oh, it's a big 10-cylinder. It looks like a very long car because the hood is very long. Two things that are misconceptions that I've learned since I've owned the car. One, it's not very heavy. Because it's all fiberglass, I think the factory curb weight for this car is like 3,400 pounds. That's not heavy at all, especially by some today's standards for some cars that are out there, like, you know, the Hellcat and even the new Coyotes and Camaros, which are over 4,000 pounds. You know, that's not that heavy. The second misconception that I myself had about this car, and I have learned that some people also have about this car, is that they're very long, they don't handle very well. That could not be further from the truth. So I don't know what the weight distribution on this car is, but I'm standing right here in the center of the car. And that is exactly where almost they put the driver. So you may sit a little bit behind the center line, but the motor is kicked back enough to where the center of the transmission is right in the center of the car. So I think the weight distribution of this thing must not be that bad. Now, granted, this has twin turbos, and you're adding a little bit more weight back to the car. So A, this car is not 3,400 pounds. And B, it's obviously probably a little bit more heavy in the front. You have the intercooler, you have all the piping, you have the turbos themselves. But these cars handle very well, which is, again, probably why they hold the record for most road course wins by a factory sponsored team, because they handled incredibly well. And that showed on the road course with the Gen 2 Vipers taking, I believe, like 17 victories in the 2000-2001 season. So those are a couple of things I've learned by having it. It's very nimble, and it is it's very fun to drive. Now, I will say there's a couple of things that are a little weird. So, like, I've always wanted one, but I never drove one. I never even sat in a Gen 2. I did sit in a Gen 3 and drive it. But I want to show you the pedal configuration. Now, this video is probably not going to do it justice, and it's probably hard to understand here. But this trans tunnel wall here, it's cutting away. Like, it's not going in towards the center. It's going towards the outside of the car. So what this does with your pedal position, it shifts them over towards the outside of the car. So when I first sat in the car and I thought I was pushing the clutch, I was pushing the brake, because that's where it feels natural that the clutch should be. But really, your foot is up against the kick panel, and it's weird. It takes a little bit getting used to, but it's not terrible. Another thing that's weird and hard to get used to, especially every time I get into it and I don't drive it very often, is normally the seat belts would come from the outside of the car and you would buckle yourself in. However, the seat belts come from the center and you buckle yourself out. So one thing I've learned is, A, it's easier to buckle my seatbelt when the door is open, because when the door is closed and the door panel, which kind of juts in here a little bit, it kind of sticks like right up against here. It's kind of hard to get it buckled. Every single time I get into this car, because I don't drive it very often, I always find myself reaching for my seatbelt with my right hand, even though that's not correct. So that's probably one of the more weird things. But yeah, that's about it. Let me go ahead and fire it up and let you guys hear what it sounds like. I'm a huge fan, again, of this car. Obviously, I'm biased because I own one. But I do want to let you guys see what it sounds like. And might rev it a couple times and go from there. I will say on cold start, it does idle a little high until the tune commands it to come down. Oh, I want to say the last thing that I was definitely unaware about. So these cars, naturally, they don't run cool. As you can see, this is a large motor stuffed into a pretty tight space. Now they try to do the best with extracting heat from here, having a hood scoop here. They also have heat extractor vents in the rear. And it does okay, but from the factory they already run warm, and they don't do any better when you stuff an intercooler in front of the radiator. That being said, sometimes normal operating temperature on a mild day, like mild / warm, you'll see like 230, maybe 235 degrees, and Dodge says this is normal. If you look at the manual, it says normal operating conditions under heavy load on a hot day can be almost 240 degrees. And that to me is mind-blowing. I mean, that is like blown head gasket range for 90% of motors on the market. So naturally, I'm very conservative with it because I don't want to blow a head gasket. I don't want to do anything. Now, that being said, I will say this motor is very simple. It is just a large pushrod motor. Essentially, what some people say is it's a 5.9 with 2 extra cylinders. It is just a large pushrod motor. No different than, you know, a 5.9 or an LS. It's just 10 cylinders. So, but that's it. Hopefully you guys like the car. I am a huge fan. I've been very, very happy with it. It is an absolute blast to drive. I love how it looks. I love how it handles. I love how it pulls. And this car is only on 6 pounds of boost. It makes roughly 650 horsepower to the wheels and roughly 650 torque, which is incredible on 6 pounds of boost because that's just what you get with 8 liters of displacement. It does not take a lot to make a lot of power. So that's it. Hopefully you guys like the car. I'm looking forward to doing more videos with it. I'd like to take it to the track, both the drag strip and the road course, to see what it can do. And from there, you know, I don't really want to modify it much. I have a set of drag wheels for it there. There's some CCWs, bigs and littles, but unfortunately they came off of a 96 to 2000 Gen 2, and the 01 and 02 Gen 2s had a little bit larger rear brakes. So even though they're 16s, they don't clear my rear brake setup. So I'm either going to buy a different set of rear brakes, or I'm going to have to machine down the caliper boss where the brake line mounts to, so I can get more clearance on the brake bolt. That's really what hits. So that's it. Guys, one last look at it. Absolutely love this car. I think it's gorgeous. I think that they are one of the coolest cars that A, Dodge ever made, and B, that have ever been made, period. I think that they're awesome. They have a unique sound, and I'm very, very grateful to be able to say that I own one now. It's been a lifelong dream, but it is filthy. I'm gonna go ahead and wash it, and then hopefully I can bring some footage from tomorrow and make a video out of that. So thanks again, guys. If you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing. If you are subscribed, go ahead and hit the bell. It'll notify you anytime a new video is posted. And if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. I really appreciate it. Thanks, guys, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.